So I've just finished The Emergency Zoo by Miriam Halahmy. This is perhaps a little less well known than many of the books I've read recently, but a book that really caught my eye when I was scanning Amazon and looking for potential books to read. I'd recently finished Letters from the Lighthouse by Emma Carroll and really enjoyed the sort of World War II historical aspects of that. So I thought it was a perfect time to move on to The Emergency Zoo. This is a book that is, as you could probably guess, looking at the front cover, set in the Second World War. Slightly before the Second World War, actually, in 1939, when there's a strong sort of rumour that war is going to be declared and everyone's sort of on tenterhooks waiting for that to happen. The Emergency Zoo focuses on a very different aspect of war to one that I was aware of, or one that many books focus on. Whereas war often focuses on humans and quite rightly highlights the importance of understanding the human impact of war and from war, this focuses on the animals and quite deeply focuses on the aspect of pets during the war and humans' relationship with animals. Now, the protagonist in this book is a young girl called Rosie and her friend called Tilly. They are young girls who each have a pet. One of them has a young cat and one of them has a dog. They're attached to their pets in a very close way, as many of us are. I have my own pets and certainly see them as a big part of my family. These girls are told that the war is imminent, air raid shelters are being built, and pets are an absolute no-go in the war. People are taking their pets to the vets, they're queuing around the blocks to have their pets put down because it doesn't seem that there's going to be enough food to keep these pets safe and alive during the war, and it's also not going to be practical to be rushing the pets to the air raid shelters. Tilly and, I'm just going to get the name again, Tilly and Rosie, they're not having this. They cannot fathom, they cannot stomach the idea of taking their beloved pets to the vets to be put down when they're healthy and happy. They've spent the last summer playing in a local field and they found a hut there. Now they think, instead of taking their pets to the vet, sorry, a bit of a mouthful there, why don't we take them to the hut? And why don't we try and keep them there and keep them safe? And at least for the time being, see if we can sort of find a situation where we can sort of save the pets from death. Word gets out though, and more children start bringing their pets to this hut, which is aptly named the Emergency Zoo. Now, there's rabbits, guinea pigs, snakes, cats, dogs, and even a goat called Horace that ends up in the Emergency Zoo. And this goes well for a while until the children realise that they are going to be evacuated. They're going to be evacuated and there's no one to look after the pets. What is going to happen? I'm not going to tell you. You're going to find out for yourselves when you read this. It was a really good book. It lulled in the middle a bit. I do appreciate it did lull and slow in the middle. And I've heard from a couple of people that said, I didn't finish this book. I didn't complete this book. But I was determined to read on, and as someone that loves animals myself, I was intrigued to see where they took this story. It, as I say, focused on a very different aspects of war, but was based on some genuine, true events, some real themes, and it had me thinking about the past in an altogether different way. I went to Reading Rocks South yesterday, and they were talking about books having a different impact on each and every person that reads them, and people being able to take something themselves from a book. And this hit me hard. I've got a dog, I've got a cat, I've actually got rabbits as well, and picturing or imagining myself in the situation of some of the characters in this book certainly tugged at my heartstrings and certainly got me sort of living life in 1939 and thinking, how would I act in this situation? What would I do? And I'll tell you, I'd have been trying to find an emergency zoo. I really would. This is a book that has some certainly powerful themes that could be incorporated into learning. It obviously touches on life just ahead of the Second World War. There's mentions of Nazi sort of influence. There's some German characters that have moved to England, talking about their family separation there and the the troubles and sort of injustices that are happening back in their homeland. There's obviously heavy focus on animal rights, animal welfare, and loads of discussion points that could be had on the back of that. There's 2 female protagonists, which I know a lot of books are boy heavy. Lots of key characters and protagonists tend to be male. There's 2 female protagonists in this book, and not typically female protagonists. They focus on the role of leadership throughout the book, and the 2 girls take a very strong leadership role, and that is something very inspiring, I think, to children and adults alike. On top of that, it's just a really lovely story, and anyone that has pets, loves animals, I think would take so much from this book. So it's not one that perhaps is as known as other books, but certainly one I'd recommend, and I'd say if you get stuck halfway through this, try and battle on, because it ends in a really good way, and in a way that that made me very pleased that I stuck with it. So that is The Emergency Zoo by Miriam Halahmy. Just thought I'd drop a quick mention to the new book I'm reading, and that is a very exciting book indeed. It's Sky Circus, the final instalment in the Cogheart series by Peter Bunzel. I was very sort of fortunate to receive this by Usborne Publishing the other day. Total surprise. So I cancelled all my weekend plans and I've raced straight to page 120. Really enjoying this so far. It's got the wonderful description that Peter Bunzel always uses in his books. It's set the scene absolutely wonderfully in that sort of Victorian time in Britain. And I can tell this is going to be another wonderful adventure. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you have. And I'd love it if you hit subscribe. I'm always looking to grow the channel and see where I can take this. Cheers, guys.